Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Good shot. Okay, he's dead. Let's go get him. That's another one for the fire.
Sucking on chili dogs behind the tasty freeze. All right, so we're back for episode 9 here today, ladies and gentlemen. No Boog. I guess he was feeling under the weather, but we got him a replacement. I'm your host, John Hunter, and today we got a special co-host, Big Al.
Hey, fellas. Glad to be here.
Is that what you're going to sound? Hey, fellas. Well, gee, guys.
I'm a little nervous here. First time being on a podcast, so, trying to lighten the mood a little bit, I guess, and get right into it.
Dog, there's nothing to it. Like, they let anybody have a podcast nowadays.
I know. I mean, if they let Boog on a podcast, hope is lost for humanity, so.
So, Pat, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about your horror background here? Ow.
Well, yeah, I am a chicken shit. I do not like horror movies, so the movie we're reviewing today is a perfect one for me to be on here.
Yeah, this one's more a comedy than a horror movie, but still good. A little spoiler alert, still good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie.
All right, so what we watched was Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. You can find it streaming on Netflix, because I'm pretty sure that's where we watched it. But
it is where I watched it.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
So, John, why don't you take him into a little background of the film here?
All right, so a little bit of the background of this movie. There's these two guys, Tucker and Dale.
Two hillbillies.
Two hillbillies from down.
Their words, not mine. I don't want the hillbilly coalition against me.
Is redneck? Is that like offensive?
Yeah, I think that one's a little offensive. I don't know. I'm not in a hillbilly community. I'm not in a redneck community, so I don't really know if that's offensive or not. It's 2020.
Everyone's offended.
Like, everyone does get offended.
You know what they're saying? If you're not offending people, you're not doing it right here. But let's jump on in here. We'll talk a little bit about like who's in this movie, who directed it. Movie came out 2010.
So you cannot blame us for any spoilers in this episode. You had 10 years to watch it.
Yeah,
you haven't watched it yet. You're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I was gonna like break it down and do spoilers like we do sometimes. But like, you know what? Like, shame on you if you haven't seen it yet. It's out there. Go watch it.
And watching it with spoilers is not going to deteriorate this movie. It is a funny movie. I would say, like, you don't let a spoiler ruin this movie for you.
Yeah, the spoilers won't ruin it for you. And if they do, that sounds like a personal problem. Go fuck yourself. So movie was directed by Eli Craig. He has a little bit of a horror background here. He directed another Netflix one, Little Evil, with Adam Scott. About like a comedy about where they're raising like the Antichrist, which I never got around to watching. I almost watched it one time, but I turned it on and I fell asleep. So,
with as good as much as I like this one, I would give that one a try.
All right. Yeah, I mean, if it's along the lines, I don't know what the reviews on that were, but that one came out 27. Man, that's crazy that 2017 feels like 3 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to imagine like how much time has passed, and like even since like graduating college, like it does not feel like that's 7 years ago.
Blows your mind. What else? He directed the short-lived Zombieland TV series for, I think that was Amazon that did that, but apparently that was not good. I think they only got like one episode.
I was gonna say I did not even know that existed.
Hey, this guy, he hasn't directed too much, but I thought he did a pretty good job with this. I'd like to see him maybe we'll check out Little Evil, because I definitely thought he did a real solid job bringing this movie together.
Fun fact: he also co-wrote this movie, so maybe it's the writing that he's a little bit better at.
Yeah, but he also only has 3 writing credits, so I don't know. What does this guy do? He doesn't do much. He must just hang out a lot.
But he's probably got fuck you money.
Oh, a little trivia here. He's actually the son of actress Sally Field.
Oh, yep. See, fuck you money.
Yeah,
I hit that right on the head.
Right on the yes.
Yeah, I mean, you're in Mrs. Doubtfire one time, you're set for life.
That's the keys to success.
That's how you get fuck you money, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Big Al Stone Cold lock of the century, being Mrs. Doubtfire.
R.I.P. Robin Williams.
R.I.P. Oh man, so let's take a look at the cast here. So your 2 title characters, you got Dale and Tucker. I guess Tucker and Dale, but they're listed on IMDb as Dale first. I guess it's alphabetical.
Well, I mean, he does have the bigger part in the movie, so that's not.
That's fair.
That's not
true.
that surprising.
Yeah, so Dale's played by Tyler LeBane. He's been in a few horror type things, some sci-fi. Like he was in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Apparently, he was a voice of a character in Monsters University. Did not see that, but did see the first one. It was the first one. Wasn't bad.
I liked Monsters Inc. It was kind of towards the end of I was kind of outgrowing those movies at that point, but going back and watching it recently with my nephew, it was a good movie.
Okay. He was in last year, 2019, that movie Escape Room, which was like pretty much like a PG-13 style like Saw movie, which surprisingly was pretty solid. I don't know if you've seen that, but I'd recommend that one, Escape Room.
Yeah, I'm a big chicken shit. So
no, it's not scary. It's more of like a thriller type.
If more movies are like this nowadays, I might start giving these more of a look and really try to diverse instead of just watching the same 10 movies all the time.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with if Goodfellas is on watching Goodfellas.
I mean, I've probably seen Goodfellas a good 50 times, but not all the way through because I just will if I find it on, I just watch it. It's a rule.
Yeah, if it's on, you got to finish it. He was also in Super Troopers 2, which I
have seen that. I fell asleep halfway through it, and I will never go back and finish it. It was one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
I've heard bad things. He does have one of my all-time favorite lines in a movie. Do you remember him and Zach and Mary Make a Porno?
Was he the drunk guy that comes in?
The drunk guy coming back from a Steelers. Yep, huck 'em, chuck 'em football.
Ben Roethlisberger.
The funny part is, like, where we're from, like that's that area, like that's a Sunday. If you were somewhere Sunday, you'd see that person drunk after a Steelers game like that.
You 100%.
Actually, to be fair, that also might be us.
I don't think that's us.
Earlier this year, you should have seen us walking out of the Ravens game. We're pretty pissed off.
Yeah, but I don't think we were that drunk, so I think we get a pass.
That's true. If it was a Penguins game, it would be different.
Yeah. Penguins game, 100%. That's us.
Fuck, dude. There's been some moments at Penguins game try to fight someone's kid's dad. That's enough for another.
Kids got.
Dude, he's also been in 3 episodes of The X-Files, all-time favorite TV series. So this guy got some stuff going on here. He's actually in a ton of things, a lot of smaller things, but it is good seeing him get work.
Yeah, I thought he was. I think he played his part perfectly. He brought a lot to the movie. I almost want to say that he made the movie.
Yeah, that's a big thing. They are the 2 like titular characters, but they're the backbone of the movie, and I think they both crush it. Him and the dude that played Tucker, Alan Tudyk. I don't know. I'm terrible.
Tudyk.
Alan Tudyk. I don't know if
I'm just sounding out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you could say that in 20.
Pirates. Yeah,
Steve the Pirate. Yeah, Steve the Pirate from Dodgeball.
You might want to cut that out. I don't. Yeah.
What?
Nope. Cut this out.
Keeping it in. I did not know this about him though. he played the robot in Star Wars: A Rogue One.
I've never seen that movie. I am not a Star Wars person. I've given it tries. I just cannot get into it this late in my life. I don't think.
You missed the ship.
I think I did. It's
yeah, like, well, hey, that's fair. Like, another one that I like, a lot of people love it, like, considered now a cult classic, that Firefly TV series that he was in. I tried to give that a try, and it just wasn't for me. Another movie that he's known for, A Knight's Tale, great movie. R.I.P.
yes,
Heath Ledger.
that is 100%. R.I.P. Heath Ledger. Gone too soon. That is 100% probably the first movie I've ever seen him in, because I don't really remember him in too much else before that time.
Oh, he was also the voice of Iago in Aladdin. I did not know that.
Oh, which one's Iago? Is that the monkey?
Maybe.
I don't know. I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid, so
neither.
It's kind of hard to remember characters in movies from your childhood.
Apparently, he played Luke, a redneck, in Deadpool too. I don't remember that. Oh yeah, he was. He was one of the dudes when Cable comes back from the future.
Wait, was he one in the like the first X-Force where like they all die?
No, he was. So when Cable comes back to the past, like the first time, he was one of the rednecks that was drinking beers like in the back of his truck. That Cable like just beats the shit out of.
What if this movie is a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
It could.
And I don't remember if Dale's character was there, because I didn't even remember this guy being in it. But
unfortunately,
maybe they're connected. Maybe they're connected.
Yeah, unfortunately, they said his name is Luke.
Maybe you need to change his name. I don't know.
Oh yeah, true. After a bunch of bodies like that, it'd be pretty hard to explain. Like that was like in the movie when he was saying, he's like, "This is gonna be a little bit hard to explain that a bunch of college kids showed up and started killing themselves right on our property."
Suicide pacts happen, John.
They do. They do. He also was a character in Rick and Morty. I didn't know that. Chris, in the episode "The Ricks Must Be Crazy." I don't remember which episode that was.
I don't either.
Did you shit your pants?
No, that's just my chair squeaking. It's an older computer chair, and
hey, excuses, man. They're like assholes. Everybody got one, and some are just noisier than others.
Well, it's probably gonna squeak again as I sit back down, so I'm sorry. No, it didn't.
Dude, no worries. Then we got the main female lead, Allison, played by Katrina Bowden. She's hot.
She's very attractive. Just throw that out there right at the start. Best known for her role as Miss Tasty in Sex Drive. At least that's what I remembered her from. Apparently she's also been in Piranha 3 Double D.
Yeah. Which, not as good as Piranha 3D, but it's still a pretty ridiculous movie.
Yeah, that's one I will not be watching, because I'm already kind of scared of the ocean. If I'm imagining a bunch of piranhas coming up and eating me, it's not going to work out.
Well, that one doesn't take place in the ocean. It takes place at like a water park. They somehow
a water park.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll give it a chance, because I'll never go back to a water park even when I have kids. No, they can go with their mother.
Hey, I'm glad that you're like future planning on that one.
I mean, we live near one. I'm sure I'll get dragged there at one point by my kids, but yeah, I will not be going into Lazy River. Too much pee.
All right, and then we got the first of the like douchey college kids character, Chad, played by Jesse Moss.
This movie came out in 2010, and they nailed this character's name.
Yeah, he 100%. He played a perfect Chad for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of the most hateable characters I can remember in a movie I've watched in a long time. I could not wait for something bad to happen to this kid.
Yeah, it was. They wrote his character well, and he acted it. He played it out well. But yeah, he also has a little bit of a horror background. He was in The Uninvited, as well as Final Destination 3, the one with the roller coaster.
He was Jason. Was he the boyfriend that dies at the beginning of that one?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, but again, 14 years. Go fuck yourself. Okay, that's why I didn't really remember him in that one, because obviously he had a smaller role. He was killed off kind of early, so that's why he didn't really ring a bell for me. But
yeah, I knew.
Yeah,
watching this, he looked really familiar, and then I was like, I think he might have been in the Final Destination. But then doing the research, looking it up on IMDb, he was in for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he hit his character right on the head. Probably one of the better actor performances in a comedy from oh, you're gonna have to help me here. A supporting role. Sorry,
supporting. Yeah, I didn't know where you were going. I thought you were having a stroke or something.
Not quite.
Hey, if you do have a stroke, I think we're gonna keep rolling. That will probably that's what's gonna get us above on the podcast awards. He kept going. He did have he's been doing a lot of work on TV series and things like that. But the one here, I didn't realize it must have been like a real quick cameo or something. But he was in the movie Wolf Cop, and if you haven't seen that, that's another horror comedy. That movie's hilarious.
Yeah, I definitely have never seen that movie.
The dude's main buddy in the show or in the movie Wolf Cop is played by the goalie from The Goon.
I don't even remember who the goalie was in that movie
The dude
anymore.
that was like always fighting with like the two like the Swedish brothers.
Oh, he was like, was he like Bulgarian or something?
Well, he wasn't.
We're getting way too off track.
I know.
Here.
We're getting off track, but I was just trying to remember what he said. Something funny. He was like, 2 rules here. You got any Percocets? And don't touch my Percocets.
I think you switched them around there, but I
think you're right. I think you're right. But hey, let's get back to the topic here. Who we got? The sheriff, who's in it briefly, played by Philip Granger. He has one pretty funny particular scene we'll talk about.
Yeah, we'll get to that a little bit later here, but yeah, I mean, a lot of the actors in this movie, I mean, I might have seen them in one or two things before, but they're not big name actors. But
they do a good job.
They all hit their parts pretty damn well, and I think that really brought this movie up a few notches in my book, and the acting was 100% spot on by all of them.
Yeah, I definitely the strong part. I think that happens too when a script is really well written. I think that he had the dialogue and the scene set up really well, that the actors had that comedy to work with there. So I think that was a big part of it. But like you said, a lot of not like unknown, but like lesser known actors, but they all nailed their role.
Absolutely.
So some other details about this here. This movie actually did pretty well. The budget was pretty small. They ended up making worldwide $4.7 million. So definitely a success for the studio that put it out.
I mean, was this considered an indie film?
So it was released like streaming, so like direct to considered like direct, yeah, but
direct to DVD.
Yeah. So what else we got here? A little trivia. There's a scene where Steve the Pirate, let's just call him that, but Dale, his character, gets stung by a bunch of bees. So he actually had the idea, like in the scene, he like to cool down the bee stings, he pours beer all over his face, and that was just improvised. So I thought that was a pretty funny scene.
Yeah, I mean that scene that we'll get into a little bit later as we go through it, but that was probably, I think, the lead up to that part was one of my favorite parts of the movie. But we'll get into that a little bit later.
All right, we'll get into the plot summary here a little bit. All right, so the movie starts out, Allison, Chad, Chloe, Chuck, Jason, Naomi, Todd, Mitch, and Mike. A lot of people, actually. A bunch of college kids are going camping in West Virginia. They stop at a gas station where they encounter Tucker and Dale, 2 well-meaning hillbillies who have just bought the vacation home of their dreams. It's a rundown, rinkety old cabin, but they're pretty pumped for it. Tucker tries to convince Dale to go over and talk to Allison, the main chick, but he has a bit of an inferiority complex. and he's like super awkward and kind of funny. He's like carrying a sign, so he freaks her and her friends out. On the way up to the cabin, Tucker's basically talking to Dale about it, like, you're better than that, like, you just psyching yourself out. And they get pulled over, and you're introduced to the sheriff of the movie there. A little while later, Tucker and Dale make it to the cabin. They start fixing it up. It's pretty old, pretty beat up. Inside, they see some newspaper clippings, and it's pretty creepy in there. It's like something you'd see in like Evil Dead or something like that. Not too far from where their cabin is, the college kids have set up their camp, where they're sitting around a campfire, and Chad tells them the story about the Memorial Day massacre, where a hillbilly attacked a bunch of kids. I think it was like, at this point, 20 years ago, it'd be like the 90s. And that kind of like creeps the kids out, so they're thinking maybe somehow Tucker and Dale, because their appearance, kind of relate to that, and that's something the story plays on a lot with perspective. So the college kids, like you do in a horror movie, decide to go skinny dipping, and at the same time, Tucker and Dale are already out there fishing and drinking beers. They see Allison. She's undressing, going to jump off a rock into the water, and Dale accidentally startles her, and she falls and hits her head. So they go over to save her from drowning, but the way it looks to their friends that are coming over is that like they're kidnapping her, gonna murder her. So they all run out of the water. Next day, she wakes up. She's obviously freaked out, and but she quickly understands that it's like a big misunderstanding, that they're not crazy or anything like that. The college kids, however, they take a different like approach to it. They think like, hey, we got to get our friend back. One of them, Chuck, runs away to go get the police because I guess the vehicle's his or whatever. And the rest of them head to Tucker and Dale's cabin. And this is where things get crazy. A bunch of mishaps. One of the kids, Mitch, gets impaled on a broken tree. Another one of them accidentally falls on a spear. One tries to tackle Tucker, and he ducks and he falls into a wood chipper. Pretty great scene. So a bunch of craziness, misunderstandings. Eventually, the cop comes up, is questioning them. They're in a real awkward spot. There's a half chewed up body, and so the cop goes inside. They try to explain it. Seems like it might work out. Probably not. They're probably going to jail. And the cop accidentally impales himself with a busted up board, gets nailed in the head. Real funny scene. So everyone's freaking out again. Allison tries to go out and tell the rest of her friends that are still alive, like, this is a misunderstanding. They accuse her of having Stockholm syndrome, like her captors got to her. Basically leads out to a showdown at an old sawmill, and it turns out the twist ending, spoiler, is that Chad is actually the little backstory is when he told the original story of the Memorial Day massacre, he was like, it was his parents that were there, and that his dad got killed and his mom made it. But the truth was that the person that committed the massacre, the hillbilly, was actually his real father. And so, little twist there. It's, I don't know, a little weird, but they end up beating Chad to a throwback. Something earlier in the movie that Dale remembered is that he was allergic to a certain kind of tea, and he was able to throw that on him. He had an allergic reaction, and then he falls out of the window and apparently dies. But I guess the way the movie starts with like a camera scene and him jumping out, so he might still be alive. Long story short, though, Dale gets to go on a date with Allison. They go bowling. It looked like Tucker was in pretty bad shape, but he makes a full recovery, and they're able to reattach his fingers that got chopped off earlier. So it all works out for him there. Not too in depth to what goes on, but I would just definitely say go see the movie. Story's not as important. It's the comedy that works, but that's the main overall gist of it. All right, so we'll jump into the pros and cons here, Al. What do you got? Some pros, some cons, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, just a little bit.
So I did jot down some notes here. One of the big pros of this movie was the humor. I love the humor in this movie. It is something that it's the humor that I find funny, and I thought that the way it was written and the way the actors portrayed the humor in the movie, it really hits it on the head. Especially with the two main characters, Alan, to fuck that, Dale and Tucker.
Dale and Tucker.
But the way they had a good chemistry on film. And I felt
that was going to be one of my pros is the chemistry. Like we were saying a little bit earlier, like that's the backbone of the movie. And if they didn't have that good chemistry, like I don't think the movie would work as well. But they really did come across as like real like lifelong friends.
Yeah,
and then as far as the comedy style, like you're saying, like it's real like slapstick. Like it reminds you of something like
it kind of reminded me of the Super Troopers 1 a little bit. The humor in it was very similar to that for me.
That and like some of the physical comedy reminds you of something like Three Stooges or even like old like David Spade, Chris Farley movies. Like just that goofy kind of like.
That's a good comparison, especially the Chris Farley and David Spade. The chemistry they kind of had on screen. I mean, it's not to that level, but they did a very good job of portraying the character's friendship and bringing that out in their acting.
Yeah. Another pro that I had, I like this. There wasn't too many of them, but I thought the special effects were really good. When that dude,
for a low
dude gets his
film,
face,
they were very good.
when that dude gets his face burned up, I thought that looked pretty good. And the guy jumps into the wood chipper. Like all the things, like it wasn't like they didn't like overdo like CGI and stuff. They actually used practical effects, so I do appreciate that.
Yeah, and another thing I kind of thought that was a good pro is they kind of avoided a lot of the cliches, as we kind of alluded to. We didn't think this was so much as a horror movie as a comedy.
Yeah, but it's more as far as a horror comedy goes. It's definitely this one's definitely more comedy than this horror. Like a movie like Shaun of the Dead, where it's definitely still like that ever-present like zombie. It's like still distinctly a horror movie with like a lot of comedy in it. This one's just mostly comedy and like the horror's like the background setting for it.
Yeah, I mean, spoiler alert, they didn't kill the black guy first. I mean, in 2010, that's a huge step.
Oh, I just remembered, like speaking, that's another pro is how ridiculous the kills are. When the friend, the black dude played by, let's see, I got his name somewhere on here.
I know him as Jakes. I just know him as Jakes from the old series Graceland.
Yeah, he played Jason, Brendan J. McLaren. Let me just when he gets killed in the movie, it's so ridiculous. He gets hit with this lantern, catches on fire. And then someone they think it's water, pours alcohol, and like it's just that goofy, like you're saying before, that goofy style of comedy. Like they're telling him like, maybe just like roll around or something.
Yeah, just stop, drop, and roll.
That's another one of the pros is how ridiculous the kills are.
Brings me into something I wanted to bring up. What was your favorite death in this movie? Because there was a lot of it, and they all were unique. And I kind of wanted to get your perspective on which one was your favorite.
Yeah, there were some real good ones. I thought it was funny because you really don't see it. You could kind of see it coming, but you didn't think it was going to play out like that. But when the guy tries to jump at Dale when he wasn't paying attention, and Dale ducked down because he was cutting logs, and he misses and jumps over him into the wood chipper and gets shredded.
Wait, that was Tucker.
Or Tucker, yeah, mixing the two up there. Steve the Pirate. But I thought that was funny because it's like one of those like, oh, like you didn't expect that to happen. But I think my favorite one might have been the cop when he gets he gets like rests against that pole and it kicks out and the other one's sticking to his head because he like falls down and what makes the kill is the way that Dale and Tucker like kind of like are doing the commentary in the background. Like the cop jumps back up with the board still stuck in his head, and they're like, how is he still standing? Like, and the other dude's like, well, he's moving around.
I think he's just gonna walk it off.
Yeah, he looks like he's gonna walk it off. Like, I thought that was good.
Yeah, I mean the sheriff's death was definitely it was one of the funnier ones in my opinion as well. I was a big fan of the first one just because of the absurdity of leading up to that one.
Was that the one where with the bees?
Yeah. So to give you a little background, Tucker, if you haven't seen it yet, Tucker is trying to cut up a log that is down on his vacation home here, and as he cuts into it, there's a bee's nest inside the log, which pisses off all of the bees. And he starts running with the chainsaw as the college kids are approaching the house, and they all take off running the other direction. He actually catches up to the one kid who's closest to the house, and they make eye contact as the college kid running away, runs himself straight into a spear and kills himself.
Yeah, what makes that scene is when they make that, like, they're running side by side and they make that awkward eye contact. Yeah. But even before that, like, so that's another... So we got a lot of pros in this one. I really did like this one. But another pro going off that is, like... And I think you mentioned a little bit before, they don't fall into those cliches, or if they do, they play it up for, like, this parody style, like, that the movie goes for. And, like, that's a big thing. This movie was all about the perspective. Like, from one perspective, they look like they're psycho killers, and then from the other perspective, they think they're, like, these insane, like, college kids. And I thought that, like, played well off each other. And when the bees are chasing him, they don't realize he just cut into the bees, and it looks like he's swinging a chainsaw around like Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean that was that, and the girl getting her face weed whacked.
That was great too.
Her face.
when the guy yells,
why did she duck?
Why didn't she just duck? Oh man, yeah, they really nailed the comedy in this one. Did you have any cons though? Was there any cons?
First I'm gonna get on a pedestal here, and showing the drinking and driving in the front. We do not condone that on HorrorVision.
I think it was legal in 2010 though. I might be wrong. You'd have to go back and check, but I think it was legal in 2010.
Another one I have is there's no Allison boobs. I was really looking forward to seeing her boobs, and they just did not show them.
They got close.
And the last one was there's just too many pop collars in this movie. I could not stand it.
That's what got you, the too many pop collars.
Yeah,
dude. Hey, Chad's got a Chad, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if there's ever a perfect name for a character, it was Chad for him. But yeah, I mean, I kind of had a hard time coming up with the cons because I did enjoy the movie so much that maybe something I didn't like in it, I can't really think of it because...
Yeah, the pros definitely outweigh the cons. Like, if you're coming into this and you're wanting, like, some kind of, like, masterful, this is the scariest horror movie, like, go fuck yourself, because you're coming into this the wrong way. Like...
Yeah, this is very similar to, like, the Scary Movie franchise, where it's the parody of it. It doesn't have the horror... in it. It's all about the humor, but they play up some of the horror with the humor.
Yeah,
I mean, some of that might have missed a little bit, but I can't really say that. Once you get a third of the movie through, you kind of knew that it wasn't going to be a horror movie.
Yeah, for the most part, like, what makes or breaks a style movie like this is, do the jokes hit? Like, is it character? Like, is there likable characters in it? Mm-hmm. And for the most part, it nails that. There's really not, like, so a type of movie like this is either make or break. It's either going to be good or it's not, because if your jokes aren't landing, like, there's nothing to fall back on in this. And in this movie, pretty much all their jokes hit. Like, what was the one? It's even like the little things in this they do, right? Like, little throwaway stuff is funny, where if you were to watch it again, you'd pick up on it. Like, I've seen this movie a couple times, and the one that made me laugh was when they get into the house and there's, like, these newspaper clippings and they're reading, and the one I can't remember if it's Tucker or Dale, but gets all excited. He goes, "Oh, Chubby's Chili Dogs." What was it?
Chubby's Chili Dog Depot. Buy 3, get 2 free every day.
That sounds like you could do a commercial for them. Down here at Chubby's Chili Dog.
It's making me want a chili dog right now. I'm not gonna lie.
I heard you have been known to suck on a chili dog or two.
Sometimes behind the Tasty Freeze.
Sometimes. I really don't have too many cons. Maybe a small one is, so the way they framed it at the beginning, the movie starts with, like, a camera crew going in, something reminiscent of If you've ever seen the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Mm-hmm.
they start.
I have not, but
Yeah. If you're a chicken shit, that one's not for you for sure.
yeah, no.
I remember I went when that came out when I was 13. I went with my uncle to see that in theaters, and I was literally like, I was 13. Like, I loved horror movies, but I was still like looking through my hands on that. Like that one. As far as remakes go, I think they crushed on that, but that's for another time. But that's what it's framed like, the news crew going in afterwards, and then the dude with the burnt face pops up, and since you just see his burnt face, you don't really realize who it is.
Until you said that, I never put two and two together.
Yeah, but so that's my little con is they don't really like it comes full circle because at the end you see like the news crew there, but then you don't really find out. So like I guess technically he is still alive, but I'd like to see like how it would played up after that, you know?
Yeah, I didn't even put two and two together. You know, the major con I had on it was kind of the twist at the end, where you find out that Chad's father was the killer in the massacre that they allude to at the towards the beginning of the movie. I kind of thought that was a little cheesy.
Yeah. That was one thing I did appreciate though, is how they do a flashback to like the party in the 90s and they were partying in the woods. Was it the Memorial Day Massacre? And they were listening to jock jams.
Yeah,
here at HorrorVision, we love us some jock jams.
You do love jock jams.
Oh, Pumped James.
Yeah, I the one death in that part was the blade to the face.
Oh, I forgot about that. That was a good one.
Like a ninja star. I at first that was my favorite, but I mean the ones later on.
Yeah, that was filmed well too. You could feel that like sticking to that guy's face, like.
I kind of like the way in that scene, because since he was telling the story of how like cheesy the characters were acting, dancing around a fire, drinking beer, like the way they danced and like the way they acted in that scene, it was kind of funny because you kind of think of that whenever someone tells you a story and you're trying to imagine it, that people not acting like a regular way.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. That was like a goofy, like throwback to like old school movies too. I liked a lot about this. The story, like everything was set up, but I do agree with you. It was a little bit cheesy, but I kind of did like how it explained like why he was so crazy, kind of.
I guess that makes sense. I don't think that in a movie like this, I don't think it was necessary.
Yeah, it was a little bit cheesy how
like that.
the one random place they ran to at the old mill had that newspaper in there. But I mean, it's a comedy. It's like, like I'm not gonna nitpick too much, but there really wasn't too many cons here. Pretty much everything about it. The jokes hit. Not too long, hour and a half.
Yeah,
under an hour and a half. Yeah, like everything. It's definitely worth watching. Any other pros, cons you got?
Something I did jot down here is I didn't catch it at the beginning that took place in West Virginia, but as dumb as those college kids were, it makes sense that they probably went to school at West Virginia University.
Oh yeah, that's spot on. Like not putting that down, like, hey, you do you, whatever. I'm sure there's been pretty bright people that have come from there, but
the stereotype that comes with that college, it just hit spot on.
Dude, I'm not gonna say the name on the podcast, but do you remember our one buddy?
Yes, who left, failed out of college one place and went and got a 4.0 at West Virginia University. Yes,
and that
is kind of how I put two and two together.
That's all you got to say about that. Oh man, I what another part that I liked in there too is when to set it up when they were coming down the road in the beginning and the college kids are talking and the one girl yells from the back like, guys, like real concerned, and they're like, what? And she's like, we forgot the beer, and they all start screaming. I don't know. It was stupid, but that made me laugh.
And another very stupid part was Dale eating the pickled eggs. I for one have never had a pickled egg, but they look so gross.
They look so gross.
It did.
Another thing I like too early on, because later on they got PBRs, but when they were just drinking their beers, and it was literally like a can. It kind of looked like a Miller Lite, maybe, but it just said beer on it. That was stupid, but I thought that was funny too.
You know, I don't understand why beer companies don't just make a beer can that says beer on it. Like, no one gives a shit about what brand of beer most people are drinking. Just put a beer can with beer on it, and people are gonna buy it because people are stupid like us.
That's true. Also, you might have a point there. Let's just make a company called Beer.
You know, you might be onto something there. First, we gotta learn how to brew beer.
Dude, it's 2020. You just look it up on the internet.
I'm sure there's a YouTube video for it.
Simpsons did it. Does that apply here? No. That's my.
I mean, they have Duff beer. They have the crossover. Maybe Family Guy did it. They do make beer in that.
Dude, if Family Guy did it, Simpsons definitely did it first.
That's good. That's a good point.
Other than that, I don't got really any other pros or cons. So
I mean, I hit on all of mine. You know, I think maybe one con of the movie I'm thinking now is that Allison didn't. She's a good actress, and she played her part well in her chemistry with Dale's character, but she was knocked out for like half the movie.
Yeah, I loved how they joked at the end too when he gave her the helmet.
Yes, yeah, that was very funny.
She's falling down all the time.
Yeah, you know, she almost drowns. She gets hit by a shovel, but I mean, that's gonna knock anybody out. Amazing though, she's pretty tough though. She didn't have a welt on her forehead from the shovel.
That's true. That was funny too when the guy charges at them and he drops a spear then falls onto it.
You know, the one thing I'll say about that is since they already did a death like that, it didn't hit as well that it could have, but it still had the comedic effect. They could have dripping down on Dale's face.
Yeah, but the guy, that might be a con to me because if you watch that scene closely, the guy's actually not lined up over top of Dale. He's actually off to the side.
I didn't really get that. But it was such a kind of a quick that whole.
And that's almost like an homage to like the original Evil Dead, where he had a scene where the demon, the Deadite, jumps at him and he holds the shovel up and it jumps and hits the shovel and it cuts its head off and the blood just is like pouring onto his face. Like they could have done something a little bit more like that, but I felt like it was a little homage to that. But I think the Evil Dead did that a little bit better. But maybe that's just a tiny con.
Yeah, they probably had a bigger budget.
And then also, like the cleanup for that would have sucked. The original Evil Dead really didn't have that big of a budget. But
I would not know about that.
Other than that, so I think it's time we'll hop into recommendations, ratings. I'll get into it first here. I would give this movie probably 8.5 as far as it goes. Yeah, that's high, but I really enjoyed it. I've seen the movie multiple times now. It still holds up. Nothing too negative about it. The comedy hits, likable characters, funny story. So I definitely, that's 8.5 is high, but
that's pretty high.
I like it.
I was, to give you a little backstory, the IMDb rating on this is 7.5 out of 10, which I think is pretty accurate. I would bump it up a half to 8 out of 10. I just think that, like we've hit on already, the humor in it, the characters, chemistry on film, they all just work.
I was gonna say the best thing you could say about this movie is that it works. Like what it shoots for, it works. It hits the target.
Yeah, and like kind of thinking back to around 2010, I don't know exactly when the Scary Movie franchise started, but it was, you know, towards I think the end of that where they weren't really doing those anymore. It looks like Scary Movie 5 came out in 13, but
that Allison girl, well, the girl that played Allison, Katrina Bowden, she was in Scary Movie 5.
Oh, well,
a little connection.
They probably they had to have seen this movie and said it should be perfect for it.
Hey, quite possibly. As far as who I'd recommend this for, though, I mean, if you like comedies, I would recommend this to you. Even if you're not a horror person, like Al, like I've known him a long time now, he does not like horror movies. Not that
Nope.
like he's against it. He's just like some people are chickens.
I mean, like the original Halloween, that one I'm fine with. I think it's more like the jump scares. I don't really care for.
Yeah, and that's something here on HorrorVision we always talk about how like there's one thing that there's a build up and it's like the tension's built and you set it up right and then that jump scare happens. But for the most part, it feels cheap and you feel cheated when they have these just random jump scares. Like that's something we're really against. But as far as this
sense.
movie goes, nothing. Like there's nothing like that. It's not scary. It's goofy, funny. It's a good time. Nothing too profane. Like definitely like not for like a young kid, but like a teenager,
I think
12,
there's
13 years old.
I think there's one set of boobs in the movie, but they're kind of far away. You don't get a great look at them. But
of course, you were looking out for that.
Well, I mean, I was hoping I'd see Allison's, but yeah, no, I don't think the kids. I think if you get a kid around 12, 13, they'll be fine to see this. There's nothing bad in it, but.
Yeah, so I'd recommend pretty much anything. Like this would be. I know we always say like, oh, at a party, throw it on, but this is something that could be on in the background or near the end of the night. People would sit down and watch and laugh. Or if you're doing,
I don't know what kind of parties you guys are going to, but yeah, I think this is.
Hey, you know me, Al. I live a strange life.
Yeah, you do. I think this is like a good movie for like a Sunday night, battling the Sunday scaries. Dreading work the next day, and this would kind of ease the tension for the work week.
True. Hey, another if you're doing some Netflix and chill, going on that date, come back, you throw this on too.
This would be a great movie for Netflix and chill because if she doesn't laugh at it, she's probably not right for you.
You can just kill her.
Nah, I wouldn't go that far. We don't condone murder.
It's my best advice I can give to the fans out there. It's only murder if you get caught.
Nah, I think it's still murder.
Is that legal? Do I have to legal disclaimer? I've just saying legal disclaimer. Does that?
I think allegedly is better.
Yeah, don't murder. I allegedly said don't murder or do murder. Don't murder. Just strike it from the record. Don't murder. Legal disclaimer. Yeah, so I went 8.5, you went 8. I mean, the final consensus, do yourself a favor, watch the movie. If you don't like it, send us an email, and then I'll personally come to your house. And
you could send that email to john@horrorvision.com.
Actually, that's not the email address, but you could send it there, too, as well. It won't come to me. So
it might get
that's something we always talk about, too. Like, some movies that you really don't like and don't see any redeeming qualities might be someone else's favorite movie. So, hey, at the end of the day, it's just movies. It's just fiction. Like, life's short. Enjoy what you like. But I think this movie would have a wide audience. Like, a lot of people would find this enjoyable.
And it's only an hour and a half long. Like, you're not investing a ton of time into it. And like we've said, it's dumb humor, but if you like something similar to Super Troopers, I think you'll find this movie enjoyable.
Yeah, I've wasted an hour and a half doing a lot stupider things than watching this movie, so definitely check it out. Other than that, I don't really got. You got anything else to say about the movie?
No, I think we hit on everything already, and I think we can wrap it up.
All right, we pretty much covered it there. So time to get into the stupid stuff. We got if you have any comments, concerns, you want us to check out a movie, any recommendations, always shoot us an email at huntershorrorvision@gmail.com. That's the part you forgot before, Hunters.
Wow.
If you want to reach out to us on Twitter, you can send us a DM. We're always on that. That's at HorrorVision. And if you found this podcast, awesome. Like it, or I don't know how the internet works.
Unsubscribe, resubscribe,
and then subscribe again.
Share with a friend.
Yeah, do that. Do all those things. But if you found it, awesome. If you like the platform you're listening on, cool. But if not, it's also on Google Play, Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts, which I didn't know those are actually two different things, but it is on both of those. And Stitcher. as well as Spotify. That's the main one that I use for stuff.
Stitcher's still around? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, actually, you want to know a little fact? Because I checked the numbers. Our biggest one that people use it's like a 50-50 split between Spotify and Apple. But I don't think anyone's ever listened to it on Stitcher. So if you're out there and you're listening on Stitcher, hey, more power to you. But other than that, yeah, we pretty much we don't got too much. Maybe Boog will be back next week. Maybe not. If you like Boog not being on the podcast, send us an email. Let me know. His fate is in the audience's hands.
I had a lot of fun. I'd love to do another one. As I said, I'm a chicken shit, so something probably not as scary, but yeah. I'd be willing to maybe give a different perspective on.
I was going to say at the same time, if you're like just that different perspective, it really ties it back together because this movie itself is about different perspectives. One perspective, you might look like a psycho killer. Other perspective, like suicidal college teens. Hey, suicide packs are real.
Is there a cult horror movie? Like, I feel like they don't do enough of them.
There's some out there. I got some pretty funny ones. There was one that recently just came out that got good reviews. I think it was called Satanic Panic, maybe. I'm gonna look at it, but it's a comedy one that's supposed to be real funny too.
I don't fuck with Satan, so.
Is that that's gonna be the tagline of the episode? I don't fuck with Satan, Big Al. So we'll start selling T-shirts of that. The Catholic,
you're gonna have to cut the check for that one.
The Catholic,
wet the beak a little bit.
Wet the beak. The Catholic Church will love that one. I don't fuck with Satan. Other than that, I think that's it. That's the episode for you. Tucker and Dale vs. Evil.
Check it out, Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix. That's where we watched it. All right. So long and good night.
Love you guys.
Check you later.
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
HorrorVision.
Good shot. Okay, he's dead. Let's go get him. That's another one for the fire.